Hi everybody and welcome. I took some notes here for you guys because I was going through the discussion board and how you guys responded, and I absolutely love it. You guys are fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, most of you got full credit for all of that and will continue to. I'm getting to know your communication style, and I see a few of you that are taking multiple classes with me. It's good to see you. So thank you, even though it's virtually, but I really appreciate it, and I hope you're getting something out of it as well. That's the main thing. I wanted to address a few things here. A couple of you mentioned something about canceled flights, how that was a bad experience and so on and so forth. Anecdotally, I got to tell you, the worst place to ever have a canceled flight where you have to stay in an airport hotel is in Memphis, Tennessee. Because you know what happens from midnight to I think 5 a.m.? FedEx comes in and out of there. I have been stranded in that particular airport more than I care to say. And you would think right at about midnight, the airplane is coming into your hotel room right there. And you can almost hear the pilots and the grounds crew outside your door. That was a terrible experience. Thankfully, my career advanced to the point of where I did not have to deal with that. But hey, if you're ever going to get laid over, don't get laid over there. Also, you mentioned a bunch about COVID's, without a doubt, its effect on the traveling public and the tourism and those kind of things. Absolutely, it has affected it, decimated it almost, but we're seeing it come back. There's pent-up energy. There's an increase in demand that we haven't seen in a decade. So we're seeing some really good movement in that space. But what I want you to think about, because this will hit you guys when you get out in the working world, is what can we learn from this experience that will be brought forward? I know, for example, even in the restaurant business, the QR codes to pull up your menu. Let me tell you, a lot of that's not going to go away. It's very convenient. It may be added to an actual menu, but that process is going to be there for a while. We know it will be. So there are things that we have, touchless check-in. Geez, I don't know why I couldn't talk. Touchless check-in and registration. That may very well stick around. I don't see why it can't. There's a hotel group called Sonder, S-O-N-D-E-R. Check it out if you can. They're all virtual. You really don't see anybody when you check in. And it's a fantastic group. They're out of the West Coast, I want to say in San Francisco Bay Area. But they're fantastic. I've stayed in 2 or 3 of them. Never saw a person. I personally love to talk and interact with hotel employees, but I never saw a person. So that was a good thing from the sanitation standpoint. I couldn't have caught any bugs from any of them or COVID. A lot of you talked about just a blanket statement of tech adoption. What kind of tech? What kind of technology are we talking about? The hospitality business and the tourism business is traditionally late adopters of technology, largely because it costs a lot of money to adopt new technology. And tourism business, the services side of things, is a very thin margin. So we don't have a lot of cash to play with to adopt some of these things. But a lot of you mentioned that technology adoption is the way of the future. What technology? Okay. Again, you go back into the discussion board. I threw that question out to you. Feel free to answer it. Okay. Along those lines, I am very curious, and I may throw this out there in a survey. Oculus, the goggles, Facebook. I believe that's a Facebook created piece, but VR and augmented reality is kind of on the horizon from technology standpoint. So what would it be like for you guys to buy a ticket, put on goggles, and virtually go to someplace? So let's say I had the ability to take you virtually and 3D, augmented reality or virtual reality to the next mountain I climb. I'm going to South America at some point here, April or May. And I plan on bringing my camera and doing some live broadcasts, just like I did last semester for Tanzania and Kilimanjaro. I'm planning on doing another one in South America, but it would be awesome if I could do that and have it as a virtual reality piece. Or if we went to a concert and I brought you there. What do you guys think? Do you think that's going to be a wave of the future, or is it just going to be another option, or is it going to be an enhancement to tourism? It could easily be another revenue stream coming up. We don't know. I think it's pretty cool, and I think it's worth exploring. I may throw that out there for a discussion at some point. Another one that was brought up, and only one person brought this up, which was the currency exchange and taxation. Absolutely, that is a challenge. A long time ago, I used to work in Toronto in stand-up comedy and improv comedy, whole other discussion there. But people would go from Toronto to the United States to shop because the exchange rate and the taxation was so different, and it was so much easier just to bring the products there. Their dollar went a heck of a lot further. Well, we saw that at one point in Japan as well, and parts of Asia. They would come to the United States to do all their shopping, and then they'd go away, or they'd go back to their home country because it was just cheaper and easier. On a micro level, believe it or not, if you go to the Mall of America in Minneapolis, a suburb of Minneapolis, which is the largest shopping center in the lower 48, there is no tax on clothes. So some people have done the math and figured they can go to Minneapolis, stay there in a hotel, buy all their clothes, and go back to wherever they live, and they come out ahead because they're not paying any sales tax on clothes. So that is definitely a variable that affects some travel. So keep that in mind. A lot of people talked about the vaccination protocols. I can tell you from my experience when I traveled to Tanzania last October, the State Department said, do not travel to Tanzania. Well, I ignored that and I went over there, and I was one of the only Americans who actually did it. I was allowed to go through, but I did have to spend quite a few hours in the vaccination, improving my vaccine and getting tested over there. Quite a few hoops I jumped through. I'll try to show you some photos of that process. But yeah, I got off an airplane and went straight into a line that took about 2 hours. And, I learned more Swahili words than I care and went through that process. Same thing coming back into the United States. I basically had to give blood, and to get back into the United States. So yes, that was a very cumbersome process, but it was necessary, and in my mind it was worth it. But a lot of people do not go through that calculation, or they go through that calculation and realize it's not worth it. So that is an element that will affect travel and tourism moving forward. So that's about it. Good luck this week. If you've got any questions, let me know. And I think that's all I had to cover here. Let's see, this week we're going to be going to the quality services. Yes, absolutely. This is one of my favorite pieces. We'll learn about moments of truth, turning frown upside down, how we train people for this. Pay very close attention to all of that. And you've got a quiz at the end of the week for that. So again, fantastic area. If you've got any questions, you want to Zoom, you want to talk to me, text me, what have you, let me know. Thank you. Have a great week.